Hello and welcome to another video from Athariel Gaming. Today we're going to be looking at the Russian breakthrough heavy tank, the T10. So this is an interesting tank in that it's quite mobile, it's got an excellent gun and excellent turret armour, but its hull armour I don't find it's well angled but tends to struggle when it goes into the heavy brawl. And what you can see here is it's got 1800 hit points, it's got 250 front turret armour with a nicely rounded turret there for bouncing rounds. It's got a 5-second rate of fire and 258 average penetration with its normal rounds and 440 average damage. One of the interesting things with the tank is its premium rounds offer nearly 100mm more in penetration, going up to 340mm. Now, the video that I'm going to show you now is, for me, this is a medium tank disguised as a heavy. Now, for the last few weeks I've been grinding this tank to get up to the tier 10. And when I first started playing the T10, I was playing it just like a heavy, going to the heavy positions and fighting other heavy tanks, often in quite close combat, trying to use the turret and hull down where possible. What I found though, and it was a bit of a revelation, is that it wasn't doing that well. I was struggling. I have a very inexperienced crew with at most one skill. We have no field mods, we're using normal consumables, and we're just using standard equipment. And I actually changed up, looking at the mobility of the tank, I decided to play it more like a heavy medium tank and actually using the tank to go to those more areas of the map where the mediums are more likely located. And what I found was it actually did so much better. It is essentially a heavy medium. It's not as fast as some of those medium tanks, so you are going to take a bit longer getting into position without the field mods. Slopes and soft ground will slow you down a bit. But what I found is I was able to really bully medium tanks and push the flank, trade those hit points where needed, and found that I was actually performing significantly better in the T10 when I played it like a medium tank. And in the game we're going to go into next, you're going to see me playing that way on Prokhorovka. But one of the things just to remember is that while you might be playing this tank like a medium tank, it's still going to be matched with other heavy tanks in the matchmaker. And you're just going to have to be aware, if you are going to the areas of the map more frequented by medium tanks, that the flank where the heavy tanks, or the area where the heavy tanks are, may well be outnumbered. So unless you are very outnumbered with the mediums, you're going to have to push. You cannot sit in those locations on some maps. Prokhorovka is a bit of a different map, but a lot of maps you're going to have to be quite aggressive and use your hit points. Use the fact that you still are a heavy tank with this great armour and great gun to really push that flank before you risk your heavy flank being overwhelmed because they're potentially going to be a heavy tank down. So let's jump into that game now and see how using the T10 as more of a medium tank might help your performance in your future games, particularly if you are using it like I have been, grinding the tank, low skilled crew, low skilled equipment and consumables, and therefore not operating to its maximum efficiency. So let's jump into that game right now and take a look. Okay, so here we are on Prokhorovka, and we can see that we are mid-tier. There are 3 tier 10s, a bunch of tier 9s and a few tier 8s on the map, and a reasonable mixture of tank destroyers, heavies and mediums, but there are no artillery in this game, and that always makes it a challenge on Prokhorovka because it ends up being a little bit more drawn out fighting across the mid-ridge. But you can see what I'm doing is I'm pushing straight over into the east to go towards the hill, which is often the position taken by mediums, and you can see that everybody with me so far is a medium tank. I'm a little surprised the Leopard had a sniper at the back there, but it would be nice if the mediums fought on the hill a bit more. If there had been more mediums with me, then you would certainly be considering to push the hill very hard indeed. But that's not going to be the case. There's just the two other mediums with me, and we're going to scout the hill and see what happens. Now, the T10 is a really well-liked tank. A lot of people I know sing its praises and say how great it is. And what you're going to see today certainly is not the greatest game in the T10 in World of Tanks. It's more of a demonstration to show how me playing this tank as a medium with my ability and what I'm using on the tank has significantly helped improve my gameplay with this tank, and therefore, one, grind it up quicker, and two, have actually some more enjoyment than constantly getting beaten up by other heavy tanks. So you can see there we've taken a position, we've spotted some of the tanks in the mid, and we've got our first shot off on an M6Y tier 9 heavy. So we're actually playing this quite cautiously to start with. We can see an Object 268 version 4 has gone on top of the hill, and that is a very nasty tank indeed. We're just trying to ascertain what's going on. Now you'll notice that I actually pull back behind the slope after making shots and while things are going on, and that's because while you might be playing with the mediums, as a heavy tank it does have slightly less camo rating, and therefore it's much difficult to sit in more open positions and remain unspotted. And I don't have the camo skills on the crew either, so or even vents, so I don't have bond vents or bounty vents, for example. Just this tank is currently using normal vents, a rammer, and vertical stabilizers. So you can see we've got a chieftain there pushing over on the mid-ridge, and a conqueror, and we're going to push over and see if we can actually get a shot. Now it's a bit difficult there to get a shot on the chieftain, so we look across to the conqueror, and he has disappeared, but he's now reappeared. He's turned his turret. We see if we can get a shot. It wasn't the best shot, the actual conqueror. He moved backwards, and I put it into his gun mantlet, and we bounced off. But we did pull back again off that hill, but we did manage to get a bit of spotting there, and we're getting some spotting from the tanks being shot on top of the hill, and also some of the tanks in the mid of the map. So I'm still waiting for our heavy tanks in the middle to spot those tanks. It's always difficult on this side of the hill because it's very easy for enemy tanks to shoot us on the hill, and that was actually a bad shot. I was a bit too far back, but luckily for me it did track the Panther 2, and friendly teammates were able to get the shots in, so I'm getting that tracking damage. We get the final shot in, and the Conqueror finishes off the Panther 2, and you can see that already we are up to 1,100 assisting damage and 935 actual damage. So we've got an IS-3-2 on the hill, so we know we've got a 268 version 4 on top of the hill there, and we've also got the IS-3-2, so we have some quite serious tanks on top of the hill. So there is going to be, at the moment, no aggressive play pushing them off the top of the hill. And there's a CS-53 there also being spotted on the hill. So you can see the enemy team has quite a number of tanks there, and so we have to play a little bit cautiously. And this is what can happen on Prokhorovka, particularly without artillery. It does become a bit of a stalemate, certainly as we get into, unless the early stages of the game significant things happen, it does tend to get a bit of a stalemate. But what we've seen now is our KPZ-50T has made a bold and brave play. He's pushed down the hill and he's now into the lake, trying to flank the enemies who are sat on top of the hill. Now the KPZ-50T, it's a good tank with a good player. He's got most of his hit points left, and I'm pretty sure he can do well where he is. So I'm still focused on providing that support across to the mid-ridge. Now I don't need to look behind me because I know where the enemies are, and I know that the Leopard 1 and the Lance and C and SU-101 are providing that fire support, and I know that I've got the 268 behind me. So I'm coming over again to see if I can get another shot at that Conqueror. Fortunately, he's still just not visible. So we're still getting no shots on the two heavy tanks, and I can see now that an AMX-30 has pushed on to the KPZ-50T. Now it's just a one-on-one battle, and I know that the AMX-30 had already taken a bit of damage, and I was confident that the KPZ could actually deal with the AMX-30. But I see suddenly his health dropping rapidly, and I think I've actually made a mistake and left it a bit too late to support the 50T. So 50T, I'm really sorry about that. But what I'm doing now is I'm using the fact I'm a heavy tank and I'm going to bully this medium. I've got him isolated. He's not got that much support. I'm aware of the CS53 on the hill, but I'm going to try and bully this heavy tank using my hit points, armor, and gun. Now, I don't have the best gun depression, and you're going to see that is one of the issues with the tank. Doesn't have great gun depression, but wow, there you go. You can see heat ammunition from the AMX-30. We bounce off. The CS-53, luckily for me, misses, and we start to really bully this AMX-30. I'm going to push on him, utilise that strong turret armour, get some ramming damage from the weight of my tank as well, and I'm confident that the Leopard 1 and the 268 version 4 were going to finish that CS-53, which is why I wasn't worried about him. And we now have been able to take that flank. And that's just, it just gives you that confidence as a heavy tank when you get mediums alone like that, or even a couple of mediums with support, that you can actually bully them quite hard. But the Chieftain now has come back. He's recognised what's going on the map, and he's come back to provide that crossfire. So what we're going to do now is we're going to push up onto the railway line and see what we can spot. There's a Barask there as well. Always have to be careful of the Barask. If you get isolated by Barask with his autoloader, he will damage you. Now we can see that is a bold, brave Leopard. He jumps straight over the ridgeline, taking on the Chieftain and the Barask, but rapidly comes back the other side. So we're coming up now. We're going to try and help out our Leopard 1, but I don't want to just jump over the top, go and face hug a Chieftain and have a Barask. But the Barask is killed, and that gives us that opportunity to push over. So what we're going to do is just going to get ready and make sure our Leopard's with us, and we're going to push over the top of the hill. I'm going to take the first hit from the Chieftain, let the Leopard come over. So I've used my hit points to help our Leopard get a shot into the Chieftain. The Chieftain now decides to focus on the Leopard instead of me, and I've got the Chieftain trapped in a sandwich, and we're going to bully him from behind and ensure that he doesn't last anymore. We're just waiting for that reload, and the Leopard 1 finishes the Chieftain. So now what we're looking at is seeing if we can get a bit of this Conqueror. A Leopard 1 finishes our own Leopard 1, leaving us on our own here, but I know we've got support. We get that first shot into the Conqueror from behind, and we're now looking to see if we can get the second. We're waiting for our reload. He's pushing up and unfortunately exposes so much of himself, gets himself killed before we get that second shot off. So now we're going to push round, and we've got 4 enemy tanks left. One of them though is an ISU. He's got quite a big gun, so we're going to be careful of him. And the Leopard 1 is certainly no tank to ignore, but the ISU is defeated, and we're now going to start to push round, confident that we've still got a reasonable number of hit points. The Char future's gone, the game's all wrapped up in the bag. I'm confident to push across the enemy cap circle. It does give away my location, but I'm certain that our friends are keeping the enemy team busy. Now there's the M6Y, but I still haven't spotted that Leopard 1. I think he should be with the M6Y, but no, he has relocated. Smart Leopard. He gets a shot on me and takes my ammo rack, but we do get a shot back. I don't repair the ammo rack because I know that Leopard is dead. And there we go, we finished the match. We've got 3,300 damage, we've got 1,200 assisting damage, combined total of 4,200. And if I had been playing that differently, I'd have been playing that like a heavy, and I'm confident I wouldn't have done so well. So certainly my recommendation is, for a lot of players, if you are playing the T10, you are struggling with that tank, then try playing it a bit more like a medium and see how it goes. Let's go back to the garage. So there we go, the T10 Breakthrough Russian heavy tank. It's a medium tank disguised as a heavy, and as you can see there, I used premium ammo throughout the whole of that game, and I recommend anybody who is grinding this tank, bearing in mind you're going to have to grind all the modules plus at least 200 plus thousand experience to get to your tier 10, that if there's one thing that you're going to spend the credits on, is going to be that premium ammo. It just has such a massive difference in penetration. It would be crazy not to when you're trying to maximise that experience, because it is a long grind. So overall, I think the T10 is a fantastic tank. It's fun to play, but can be difficult if you are struggling with the tank. because of the abilities or skills that your crew has, or just because of your experience in the game. Play it like a medium. I think it will help change and revolutionize your fun in this tank. And let me know in the comments down below if that helps you at all. As always, thanks for your support. Please, if you like the videos, you want to see more, follow and follow me on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. We also have our Twitter page if you want to keep up to date with new videos coming out, new streams going live. Then please like, subscribe, follow. Your support is so much appreciated. And that wraps up this video. You've been watching Athariel Gaming. We'll see you on the battlefield.